too late to tell me how you feel. We've got all day, so show me what is real. 'Cause I don't play no games. This could be the real deal, right here, you and me. So tell me we're on to something, baby, don't leave me hanging. Giving you all my loving, but how am I supposed to know if you feel the same way, or if you want me to stay? Baby, just give me something. How am I supposed to know? We've got all this time, so stop wasting mine. We've got all this time. How am I supposed to know? Supposed to know.
To what the picks and bans are going to be. I think the picks specifically on the side of Uniteholic are going to be very important because they can go so many weird directions.
Absolutely. Rework Respawn going to start off our draft with a Leafeon ban, and a Zoroark ban is going to immediately follow it. So I have to imagine we are going to see a Dodrio look from Rework Respawn a little bit in the future. Mimikyu ban going to be the next option for Rework Respawn, a Pokemon that has been surging in popularity, certainly, but we have not seen it on broadcast so far today.
Yeah, it's just one of those Pokemon where it's like, okay, when it really works, but not every team truly has been making it fully work. It was a huge part of pretty much all of the teams that won in the last monthly cup and their victories, but there's no way this is the first pick, right? Yeah, they're still going around. They're going doing a bunch of non-traditional first picks. Looks like it's going to be the Blastoise. So big question for me was how highly valued the Buzzwole was going to be today. And so far, a lot of these teams not highly valuing it. It's not even picked yet.
Yeah, rumor has it that Japan rarely plays this Pokemon. And so actually electing to not take it first in the draft makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're going to get it on the run back. You may as well allow Uniteholic not the Blastoise. We have Blissey, Crustle, Espeon, and Mew so far for Uniteholic. Japan really liking that Mew so far today.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot of players that play Mew in a lot of other regions, but it kind of depends on who can actually play it. It's a very difficult Pokemon. This is interesting. We might be seeing, I would have to assume this is the Scyther at this point, especially if it's going to be Reggie. But that's going to be, I mean, it was most recently buffed, right? Scyther and Scizor. I mean, there is a chance it could be Scizor. I'm always wrong whenever I make that call, but I would have to assume it's Scyther.
Oh, no way. Y'all remember 2022 Mame on the Serena? I certainly do, and I'm sure Unite Holic fans do as well. We are going to see the Serena, and remember what we were talking about at the start of this match breakdown. Mame has recently rotated to the central area as a role. We might be seeing the central area Grass Queen.
That is not something that I am used to seeing at all. This is very exciting. I mean, just those final 2 picks are very, very rare. Serena considerably more rare than even Scyther at this point, but this draft, it went a really interesting direction. A lot of high-value picks late. The Crustle being picked so incredibly late, it's very surprising, but they knew that they already had the Blastoise. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen here for our first game of Group C, because these teams, you know, we talked about each basically matchup for the first ones that we're going to see. You know, the first one of today for free against Copy-Chance, we're like, this is going to be an excellent match. And then this one, we were like, this is going to be a wild game. I know this set's going to be wild. No matter what happens, that's just how these teams are.
Oh, I can't wait. And we're even seeing the OG synergy of the Blissey with the Serena. A Pokemon, I mean, Blissey just loves to enable any kind of melee brawler. That is the best target for them to support and strengthen. We saw the matchup with the Garchomp in the previous match that you and I got to cast. But well, now it's going to be looking for that Serena for some big team fight moments. But here we go. Game number 1 between Rework, Respawn, and Unite Holic. The Scyther versus the Serena in terms of the central area.
That is not something I was expecting. It was not something that was on my bingo card for EUIC here at the AEOS Cup. This is a very interesting kind of split that we're seeing as well from the side of Unite Holic. Of course, with any sort of evolution, it is not uncommon. In fact, it'd be more uncommon to not see some of the center area split. Just being able to get to that level 4 power spike, which we're already seeing, and this Espeon is what they're going to be running as their kind of answer to this Buzzwole. I'm excited to see how it works out.
And you need to have an answer to this Buzzwole early, because Serena certainly is not going to be at level 5. So getting that Espeon is so important to try to slow down.
Hola, hola, ¿cómo están todos? Les quiero mostrar cómo le va a LATAM versus el equipo asiático del Mundial de Pokémon. Vamos a ver. El equipo de LATAM es Rework, Respawn y el de Asia es Unite Holic. So, vamos a ver cómo le va al equipo de LATAM. Les dejo la transmisión.
And now only the Serena left. Mame trying to find a KO, but they should at least be able to escape. Mobility on that Pokemon is pretty good.
Yeah, extremely strong. And yeah, Mame having an incredible showing, but we are going to have a pause in game for a moment. Unfortunately, we did have one player disconnect. So as soon as we get that all reestablished, we will be back into game. But I think the point still stands. A creative bottom path push for Unite Holic, trying to avoid that Buzzwole. Again, Serena just not really going to be able to contend in that moment. So that's why we are seeing you go for that split path and just kind of avoid the Buzzwole in the early moments.
Yeah. I'm really liking kind of the way that this has been placed by Rework Response. I think specifically the Hyper Voice is really, really good at dealing with a lot of the Pokemon that are especially kind of trying to become early threats from the side of Unite Holic, and that is going to be shutting them down really, really strong and kind of stopping their momentum, which is a big deal. Again, the Crustle, there's a reason why we see that Pokemon first picked, I would say a large majority of the time, maybe not majority, but you know, maybe the highest of the first picks currently when it gets through. And then the Serena, which still I don't really know exactly what the strategy of picking it is. I mean, obviously, you know, legendary player playing it, but we'll see exactly how it kind of plays out in the comp. But but that's also going to be a Pokemon that, while it does have some mobility, it's not going to want to fight Hyper Voice, right? I mean, anybody who's melee really doesn't.
Yeah, you're going to have Drop Kick to try to avoid most of that. You can even try to get behind the Sylveon, one of the best options to escape that Pokemon in particular. Yeah, I think it's just a lot of great crowd control Unite moves, notably the Espeon and the Zarina, even Crustle to a certain extent, is going to make the team fight, like the dive from Buzzwole and Scyther, a little tough. It's going to be, if you're going to try to find one target to isolate and get a knockout, it's not going to be very easy. You're going to have a lot of interference to run into while on the way.
Yeah. This is, I mean, I'm really curious. I'm actually kind of sad that we just got this pause, because this is a really interesting moment of the match. I just really want to see what continues to happen. The Mew also, which I do believe is the player who disconnected, is going to really key part of this entire comp, right? Yeah. When we do see a lot of these really close range comps, I do like that a lot of the really strong teams do tend to bring a backup that has some exceptionally long range, right? Like whether they can grab Inteleon, or whether it can be a Mew that can beam, or whether it's a Venusaur that can beam. I mean, there are quite a few different options, but that tends to be a really key part of making things happen. When you've got Pokemon that really want to try to finish off Pokemon, but they maybe can't just one combo them, you really need to get that little bit of extra damage, whether it's an Electro Ball or a Beam, of course, just some little way.
I like to call it kind of the hammer and anvil strategy when it happens, but yes, you are right. You want to have some big long-range moment, and then of course someone to try to capitalize. Puno trying to lock down Reggie, not going to have the option to do so, and instead we are just going to have Unite Holic having great positioning around that 8-minute fight. Poor Reggie caught on the wrong side of a light screen, not able to chase down that Mew.
Getting chased down by the Mew, actually, to be 100% honest. And this is going to be Unite Holic really pushing in for this Tier 1. They're not quite able to break it, or maybe they just choose not to break it because they did not want the 12 points. I mean, we do see a lot of teams that really just do focus on breaking down that Tier 1, especially when it's up top, and they just really want to make those Regielekis more valuable. But that is a great Rock Tomb into the beam, making sure that both members up there from Rework Respawn are very unhealthy. And man, no, we're still on this poor little Squirtle. This is not a very good look.
Yeah, I mean, it'll take it a while. They are running EXP shares, so not the worst thing in the world, but they will finally get to level 5, almost a level 6 already because of that passive experience. Sherlock will go down. Unite Holic, unrelenting, is going to be able to find that Buzzwole and earn that KO. Also notable, a lot of early scores in this match so far. 82-75 before the first set of objectives even spawn in, which is very, very impressive already.
Yeah, not just from one side, from both sides, which is it's saying it's not one team dominating. They're just both holding forward. And this is going to be a pretty secure, the Regieleki for Unite Holic. They do not have to worry too much about that. Not a huge challenge. There is a little bit of a fight down on bottom. I love that they just lit the Regieleki in to break. That was a super low overdunk on that Tier 1 goal zone. So they're like, you know what? That's fine with us. And now we've got a little bit more experience up top.
Yeah, exactly. We are going to try to break this top goal zone, I'm sure. Eldegoss is going to score a very low amount, but it will break that top goal zone. It had to be less than a 3-point overdunk, honestly. Mame takes the whole Hyper Voice the entire time they're flying with the Smackdown. Great patience by Sherlock not to follow up on that move and allow it to work for the full animation, so they have great combination with Rev.
That is one of the scariest things that can hit you in combination, for sure. You're just like, oh no, this is too much. I'm going back to base.
Hey, you mean this is up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't you yell so loud all the way in the sky? But right now, we are staying with just a small goal zone lead for Rework Respawn. Well, I should say point lead, not goal zone lead. They actually have the same goal zones because they both broke 1 for 1. But they're really staying even. I gotta say, this is it's been a pretty even game, but the levels for Rework Respawn are so good.
Yeah, they're looking fantastic. And Reggie's played very patient on this Scyther. Scyther, like we talked about a few times with a few different Pokemon, it's kind of all in. You have a ton of great dive options, great utility in that regard. But once you press all your buttons, sometimes you're sort of left alone out there. And you really gotta try. It's really difficult to make it out. So when Reggie goes in, they want to make sure they're confirming knockouts. And of course, having the option to use that Unite move. A Unite move that does mark their enemies, and any KOs they get on marked enemies actually resets their cooldown. So a very, very good combo play.
Yeah, and I love this choice too. I feel like one of the big things that a lot of teams that don't use Buzzwell well don't do, that's, I know it's a weird double negative there, but is they don't choose some sort of assassin to back it up, which is weird, but Buzzwell loves sandwiching people. It's his favorite thing in the world. I love sandwiches, Buzzwell loves sandwiches, miraidon loves sandwiches, but they're doing a great job with that Scyther. That Unite's going to come out just trying to take out that Scyther, speaking of it, but great escape, and honestly, the self-healing on that Scyther is pretty gigantic. It's going to use the Unite just to stay up and get that return KO on Mame, and now they've got a good opportunity to try to push this down, but wow, great avoid with that Unite.
I can't believe Sherlock was able to take the Regieleki in top path 1v2 against an Espeon and Crustle. That is huge for Rework Respawn. Not only did they win a very expensive team fight in the bottom path with a lot of Unite moves utilized, but they also were able to steal that top path objective on an undersided advantage, and Sherlock walking away with the KO off camera, and a Registeel buff slides the way in Rework Respawn. So yeah, the early game may have been contentious, may have been close, but Rework Respawn starting to take off.
Yeah, this is the strength of Buzzwell, and I mean, I said it before, but I'm so excited to see how these regions that feel like Buzzwell is not priority do up against the regions that feel like it's priority, and just the back and forth, which we've already seen in the earlier match with Kabi-chan's in 4-3, but we're seeing it once again, and I mean, we're getting close to the end of this one, so we're going to see how it goes in a team fight, but Mame, once again, very far forward, actually, with the entire team of Uniteholics, basically. There's an opportunity for a catch, but they got to make sure that Rework Respawn is not the one who gets caught out themselves, but even though they're on their own center area.
Yeah, you see Minato playing within vision and kind of aggressive to try to surf a target away if they have the opportunity to. And of course, we have the Zarina trying to do something very, very similar. A lot of healing and shielding is available for Zarina, but also, of course, with that Blissey pocket. But that is a fully attack weight stacked Buzzwell, and that is a crazy execute on that superpower. Bye-bye, Zarina. Sent back to base.
If you want to talk about, well, let's say about this KO that's about to happen right here. Yeah, getting KO'd while you're actually CCing the, you're exiting the Sylveon. But that is like old meta versus new meta. It's like, we saw the Unite actually come out from the Serena as well onto that Buzzwell, and there was the Blissey there, and all of that together could not beat the self-sustain of Buzzwell. What a strong Pokemon right now.
Oh yeah, Buzzwell looking fantastic. It was in a 1v2 there, by the way, for a moment until the Eldegoss was able to rotate back up to that side. And of course, Uniteholic does look more threatening when they have both support core and the Espeon around. We were talking about that strategy, that anti-dive they're able to put together. However, Rework Respawn playing around it quite well. Reggie playing an extremely patient game for being level 13 at this moment. Hiding in tall grass, waiting for flanks, and just trying to be a constant threat that Uniteholic cannot lock down.
I love this because Scyther, like you mentioned, a lot of times it can kind of get caught up by itself and it can get picked and give a lot of that rubber band EXP. That's not going to happen this time. They're just letting that Regieleki go in the top path. They do not care on the side of Rework Respawns as we're here down now for Rayquaza, and this is a pretty close match, so we could see a back half, which is going to happen. We're going to have Mame get a Hundo Burger in that top tier 2 goal zone, which is going to throw them into the lead. This might be the time for Rework Respawn to push it.
Yeah, you got vision completely huge. Blastoise Unite move engaged perfectly timed with the Buzzwell. Eldegoss is going to crash land as well, giving Minato that precious HP they need to be able to contend with that fight. However, the clock has been ticking this entire time. We're going to have 68 points scored by the Scyther, but Mame has set up a pretty wild flank on the other side of that goal zone pit. However, Sherlock is wise to the tricks and is going to jump right on top of that Serena. Stomp, Unite move, Buzzwell's midair, but they are not knocked out yet. Super Swole Slam going to crash on the Serena. Full combo with the superpower. Hyper Voice lines up from the other side, and Rework Respawn, little by little, are knocking out the members of Uniteholic. Surf around the other side. Minato with a very big hang 10 flank, and they are going to be taking down the rest of Uniteholic. But the Espeon striking back.
Ooh, this is now very low for both sides, but an almost 100-point lead for the side of Rework Respawn. They've got to make decisions. 44 seconds left. There's 100 AEOS energy in that pocket, but they knew. They made the call out. They correctly guessed, and that's going to be a huge whiff on the Psychic Solaire. Making that correct call is gigantic. 30 seconds left. They've got to depend on scoring with that Espeon. That's really their only way. They've got some points in pocket, but they've got to score multiple, and especially with the overdunk, all going to be about this defense.
Man, Ref really revealed themselves extremely early out of that tall grass. 15 points goes in for the Blissey. That's a start, but it's not enough to take the lead. Unite Holic desperately trying to get some scores in, but it's Reggie who swings in and gets the first KO, and that's just going to be the first of many as Rework Respawns dispatches the entirety of Unite Holic and starts our matchup 1-0.
What a match, not even going down to the Rayquaza, just the minor decisions in the final moments. May I note, that was a disgusting surf to knock everybody off of that gold zone, but Rework Respawn making a statement defending at the 1 second mark.
That was game one.
I know.
That was game one.
I know.
Unbelievable. That set was so exciting already. An amazing game from Rework Respawn. Not only in Pokemon choice or individual mechanics, how they played around those team fights were so excellent. You called it out. The perfect call in that tall grass where they were trying to hide away. That happened twice, by the way. Sherlock had the perfect just smack down into the tall grass. You know you're going to hit something. And Mame's whole flank is just crumbled underneath them. Amazing, amazing job from Rework Respawn. Unite Holic, though, obviously not out of it yet. They get a second chance to come back in this game number 2. And whew, I don't know if you're back to the drawing board. That was such a close game, but maybe Zarina doesn't go into the central area 2 games in a row.
I mean, honestly, I love to see the Serena, but I don't love to see the Serena because at this point in time, honestly, we got to see that perfect moment. If anybody's like, well, should you choose Serena to fight against Buzzwole? You can literally look at that moment where like you used everything that you had and that Buzzwole just would not go down. I mean, Sherlock on that Buzzwole was basically invincible. In the final fight of the game, too, you can see right here, Sherlock was fighting like 4 people at once and did not go down for like 30 seconds, just getting KOs. It was beautiful, but yeah, we just cannot commit to that 1v1 against a monster like Buzzwole.
Yeah, and of course, great showcase of support play by Steven. That pull and pluff on the Buzzwole all the time not only gets healing, but gets great damage reduction, which in a situation where you're going up against many enemies, a percentile of damage reduction is even more important than healing sometimes. So great supportive play, and of course, showcasing a lot of resources towards one of your best tools.
Yeah, especially with Buzzwole, you're like, you're gonna bring yourself up anyway.
Yeah, you got this.
You don't actually need healing. Same thing with Wish, but yeah, that was a great first game. I mean, I love any match of Pokemon Unite that goes down to nobody taking Rayquaza,
right,
and in a close way, right? Where these teams are so close that even in that final fight, it was down to like 2 people up to 1 person up, and it came down to like, can they score or not? Which of course happened into that perfect read on where exactly they were hiding in that center area. Beautiful stuff from Lyric Respawn, but that's exactly how close I want to see every single game this weekend, and I think I'm not at all unhappy with this.
And a final button go button was showcased when Mame goes for that back cap, right? When you're scoring and on an enemy goal zone, the vision has been given to the enemy team. Like, oh, Zarina's not here. Maybe they even thought the Blissey would also not be there in that scenario, but either way, they know at least they can take a fight 5v4, and we see Minato and Sherlock crash that top side perfectly. A Hydro Typhoon, a Cotton Cloud crash, and a full-on Buzzwole jump. It looked picture perfect, and from that point on, it felt like Rework Respawn had the keys to the car.
Yeah, Rework Respawn, I mean, okay, so there's so much I could talk about Pokemon Unite in general and how deep this game actually is. And they are such a good example, right? They had so much good map awareness in general where they were able to say like, okay, well, this is when we go in, and then this is how they're going to rotate back around to us, and this is where they're going to hide as soon as they get their shield. Everything about it was just genius play from them. And now we're going into game number 2 where we can start all over with the draft.
All right, we're going to see another Zoroark ban and another Mimikyu ban. I wonder if this is a call out to what Mame's been playing recently, whether in scrims or in ranked ladder. Obviously, Zarina, we talked about it's kind of a wild pick, but it's a comfortable pick, right? So maybe that's why we're going to it. And yep, that's right. We got a Buzzwole ban from Japan. The respect has been earned.
Oh, without a doubt, that respect has been earned. We're going to be seeing the Leafeon ban from the side of Rework Respawn. I mean, they could, like I said, extremely well use it themselves, but we have seen Unite Holic as well use Leafeon. I mean, kind of everybody has a Leafeon player at this point. First pick on the Espeon, though, that is a high value that they're putting on that, which is not unearned.
Yeah, it's a Pokemon that has had a lot of success in every game we see it. Honestly, I'm very curious when we get into tomorrow, when we start seeing the percentile win rates of some of these Pokemon from this tournament specifically. Espeon going to be looking very good, I think. But wow, Eldegoss and Blastoise going to go to Rework Respawn. Those were two options they had in the last match, and they looked fantastic.
Yeah, there's no way we're going to see that. Well, I mean, actually, as Uniholic, we could see actually anything, but they are honestly going for a little bit more of just like meta comps. That ends up going with, especially, I mean, with the Serena being so early, which is really interesting and kind of goes up I would say the opposite of that, right? Where Serena is not going to be that immediate threat that you're used to seeing. It's going to be a much like kind of like later in the game threat, but not really that late game of a threat. So again, I just really want to see exactly how it wants to pop off, because we didn't get to see it get that chance to last time, mostly because there was the buzz wall. But now without a buzz wall, maybe you're just you're chilling.
One of the things I'm really interested about Rework Respawn's composition is the choice of the Snorlax. Because we do see quite a few defenders in play right now. Defenders overall as a role are actually doing quite well in the game. It's a very, very strong one. But we actually have Snorlax being the option that Rework Respawn has chosen to go with. Which normally we see that with some more long-range threats. The Heavy Slam Yawn combo makes Pokemon stunned for such a long time and makes it so easy to line up Solar Beams and Snipe Shots. But the composition that Rework Respawn is bringing to the table is primarily just Brawl and Dive. I mean, Sylveon kind of walks the line a little bit between those, and we can see some combination play. But honestly, it looks like, hey, we just don't want to lose early game. Let's get the Pokemon with a great last hit secure, and that's Tackle from Snorlax.
I will say, though, the way that we saw Reggie playing that Scyther last game was almost more like a ranged attacker than anything else for a lot of the time. So I do agree with you, but Reggie's unique playstyle is very interesting. Who also, may I note, did play like a really good kind of like max range Leafeon, and also has the ability to play some other attackers at a little bit more range. So that just might be one of those style things where it's just like, yeah, well, we don't have to commit if we don't need to, which is going to be a good thing up against that team, especially don't want to get caught behind a rock tomb anywhere. And it does look like we're getting these players fixed, something set up, so hopefully we'll get back into this one very soon. We want to make sure that they're 100 for their games.
Absolutely, yeah. We have some of the best in the world on stage working things out right now, so we will have this sorted out and back to some great competitive Pokemon Unite very soon. And I don't think that's too big of a surprise. With the amount of incredible stuff we've seen so far, these games have been amazing. So I personally am just over the moon, excited to see how the remainder of this tournament goes out, because the way we're starting, these games have been fantastic.
Yeah, and just as a reminder again for everybody else, this is our first time where we have two broadcasts 2 official broadcasts for this in-person event. You can check out twitch.tv/Unite Battle Hub. They are doing the open bracket today, where you can see a whole bunch of really well-known teams. I mean, you know, I'm going to say a lot of teams that have already lost, but, you know, Team GT, Team YT, Team Luminosity. I don't know if they've lost, actually. We've been here. There's Team Yellow Bingo. There's, we've got Shin and Raude from Taiwan. We've got so many different other teams that you should definitely know if you've been following the scene. If you have not been following the scene, you should go learn about those teams.
Absolutely, yeah. Multiple streams, multiple places to catch the action, because there's certainly a lot of it. We don't want any of you missing any of it. But currently, we are in our group stage right now. I believe this is Group B, and Unite Holic and Rework Respawn, the squad's taking it out. But
and we can take a look at some of the most picked Pokemon that we've got as well. And Blastoise ends up as the most so far in this tournament. This is, again, one of those things where Blastoise very highly valued. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just the tournament. This is the entirety of UCS, which, of course, you know, the majority so far of this season has been similar-ish in meta. We did get to switch over to the multiple bans after the first month, but Blastoise, people love it. It's strong, but it's just right under those bans right now, I think.
yeah, a Pokemon that will get banned quite often, but avoids it from time to time, which is tough.
Just enough.
Yeah, exactly. Blastoise, but we see a few Pokemon on this list because balance patches are kind of moving away from being on this list. We'll have some new up-and-comers very, very soon. Clefable and Slowbro, obviously the two that I think are more notorious here. But Slowbro, kind of a surprise that we don't see more of this Pokemon.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Slowbro to me is one of those Pokemon that it's kind of been the same personal level of strength for basically all of time. You know, it doesn't really get the note that it should be like stronger or weaker. It's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. But it's cool because its individual strength in the meta is based on how good of a target it has to slow beam. So the stronger the target that one team can potentially have to be their hardest carry, the better it is to just have Slowbro as an answer. And everything it brings to the table, always good, always solid, always strong. But just, yeah, when there's not too much that you can target out solo, you're like, I don't know if we need it. And when there is, you're like, we need it.
Exactly. This is one of those Pokemon that it was kind of enabled by draft mode. You know, it's really tough to just rely on it in blind pick all the time. There were moments when Slowbro was strong enough to do so, but all of a sudden in draft pick, that Pokemon feels even better and so strong. And man, in this game, we might not see it, but we're going to see some different defenders like we talked about before. Snorlax going to be one of the options, and I believe that's Rework Respawn locking that one down.
Yeah, I love the Snorlax. Snorlax has been kind of, I almost want to say, I mean, okay, so we've obviously seen a lot of different eras of Snorlax being picked a lot or being picked not at all, and I kind of feel like it's kind of going back up into the spot where we're seeing a lot more Snorlax, just because of, I guess, kind of just like a buffs and nerfs and bans on certain defenders. Like now that we're seeing a whole lot less Umbreon, I think people have shifted down one more, and it's really, really cool to see the Snorlaxes, which we've seen actually kind of a lot of today already.
Yeah, that is interesting. Another new option, Rework Respawn, of course, putting in the Blastoise in the top half in this round, where last time we saw it play more of a defender role. This time we're going to see that brawler Pokemon enter the battlefield. I don't see any rapid fire scarf equipped to this Blastoise, so I don't know if we're going to see the spin, but honestly, you still could play it with that option. They're running stacking glasses, so having big damage numbers honestly is fine for surf or spin.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of, I mean, definitely I would say the meta has shifted from being spin water spout to being spin hydro pump a lot more recently, which is really interesting to me. So, but the thing about Blastoise is that we've seen competitive teams in even the current meta play it in every number of ways that you possibly could. That Pokemon can just do so many things. For anybody who isn't, again, as familiar with Pokemon Unite, EXP share, that's really the item that you like to take a lot on your supports and your kind of supporting defender, right?
Yes.
Where you get to take it and it gives you like a passive EXP. We can see right there with the respawn on the first win. But the passive EXP is really good, but then you don't become like that much of a carry. So we get to see Blastoise used as that kind of supportive defender. We also get to see Blastoise used as like an aggressive non-EXP share top pather. That's more of a brawler, more of an all-rounder, even though it is a defender. So there's just a whole lot that you can do with that Pokemon.
And we're getting to get to see both in this first match. Obviously, we saw the defender Blastoise look in game number 1 we're going to see the Brawler Blastoise in game number 2. I particularly am quite excited to see either one. Obviously, you see a lot of Pokemon in the top path who are great at utilizing those stacking items, attack weight, AEOS cookie, even the special attack specs. All fantastic options to amplify a specific stat. The more you score, up into 6 scoring times. So in the top path, those goal zones are a little bit closer together than they are in the bottom path, and it's just easier to contend with, so you know you can get those scores in.
All right, well, it looks like most likely we're getting back into game here. So game number 2, Unite Holic down 1 game against Rework Respawn from LATAM North, who's doing an amazing job so far, but one of the closest games that we've seen in the entire broadcast, and now we get to see the follow-up to it.
All right, I can't wait. Thank you, everybody, for waiting patiently as we jump into game number 2. 1 stack already in for Sherlock. That's the nice thing about going into a team with Pokemon who takes a little bit longer to level up in the central area, like a Serena. You know you're safer for some of these earlier stacks. You got to go into that Espeon and the Blissey, which is scary, but you know you can at least get 1.
Yeah, and at least just that 1 is pretty big. It's also going to give that little boost of EXP. And any little boost is very, very important when you're just trying to get past that Squirtle phase, quite honestly, which we've seen so many people get locked at.
Look at this adaptation from Reggie, actually going to the bot path on their first push at 9 minutes, knowing that Mame is going to be appearing. Mame, by the way, running X attack. We haven't really talked about that at all, but anytime you see that pulsating orange circle beneath the Serena, you know that they have amplified their damage with that X attack battle item.
Yeah, that's one that I feel like we see a lot more once upon a time, and goodness, they are just really fighting for, of course, those EXP. That was a little bit hard to track who exactly got which. It looks like it was a little bit of a split. The highest level, as far as just the little circles, looks like it was Mame on that Serena, but just by a little bit. So you do like to see that split up staying pretty even. And up top here, it looks like we've got a lot less chances to get those stacks in.
Yeah, and again, Reggie playing a very patient game on this Scyther, not trying to jump in and turn a situation from bad to worse, so they are not going to be able to chase that Pokemon down. Yupuno does land a nice Rock Tomb to prevent Minato from getting back, but at this point in time, the bottom path tends to be just 2 very large defenders just kind of poking each other.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Oh, you enjoying London? Yeah. Did you get any English breakfast? Yeah, I love the beans. But right now, this is going to be a lot less of just little poking, as we've got a pretty big collapse here, trying to get that middle EXP. It does look like some of it was stolen away by Reggie on that Scyther, but majority still probably going, especially with that main little option there. To Unite Holic, who looks like they're rotating up top, mostly trying to push this down. We do have the War Turtle, which is already going to be better than nothing, but this is still just not enough to defend. We might be able to get a pushback with this Scyther, though.
Yeah, great water spout onto those 2 targets who were trying to score on the bottom side. In the end, we do have the Espeon landing their score, but Mame is not able to put in the 30 points into that top tier goal zone. Unite Holic may have the lead, but they did not break that top goal zone, which was their main objective with a 4-player push. So stifled a little bit. Mame gonna fully engage. Stomp hits multiple targets. The Rock Tomb a little bit late, but it's still good to take out the Eldegoss. Minato with a 3-player heavy slam is gonna be enough for Unite Holic to have to regroup and push back. Another Rock Tomb makes things a little sketchy, and Unite Holic is still gonna keep pushing forward.
Oh, the ability to flex back has been so good for Rework Respawn, but now there's nowhere left to flex back to, as we're going to see Minato get extremely low. Finally not getting KO'd, though. The Unite going to come out, take down War Turtle. They're going to be trading for the Crustle 1-for-1, although it looks like Reggie went down as well. They're still holding on this goal zone. Some more points going in, but they're finally able to break through this defense. Only the Sylveon left. Trying to Hyper Voice will get the KO before anything else happens, although they are going to be taking down that goal zone, managing to get the KO as well on that Mew.
Man, sick coaching from Mew. I know they eventually do go down, but they avoid getting knocked out by that Scyther by coaching to their Serena on the other side. And, well, that'll in fact give Mame enough of a runway to be able to make it out. And now we have the Serena headed into the Central again to take even more experience. And they did finally break that top tier goal zone. Not a large overdunk, but neither of these teams have been particularly concerned with that in our matchup. Honestly, electing for quicker breaks rather than big score leads.
Yeah, and that's such a regional thing, which is super cool to see up against each other, but both these teams definitely kind of go with the same strategy. Reggie Steele going to Reggie. Perfect, you know, you've got to get every Reggie if your name is Reggie. But that is going to be a nice little buff for them. On top of the fact that Rework Respawn, they were down just by, like, barely by levels. They mostly are just getting outrun by Mame, who managed to really pop off as far as levels go, so they would like a little bit more EXP, but they're going to be slightly ahead on levels as far as every everybody else on the team, so it's weird to see it that much lopsided. They just got to get that singular pick, and that'll be huge for them.
And I haven't been stack counting, but I know they are definitely higher than 50%, if not already full, thanks to a push on that tier 2 that nobody was watching. We do have the spin, Blitz assistance onto Mame, but they're pushing all the way to the back line to 3. They're going to throw that Sylveon up in the air, who's able to Fairy Frolic and avoid a lot of damage, and all of a sudden, Rework Respawn has an answer. Espeon Unite move to try to slow down the push, but Blastoise is still charging forward. Sylveon with the Chaos Streak of 2, Sherlock is able to take one and recall back to base.
I was talking about how good Rework Respawn is at flexing backwards, and they did that so well. We actually saw the accidental Unite into the Solar Beam, or it's not Solar Beam, Solar Beam from Reggie, and they managed to get out at like 1 HP. We saw Minato get out at 1 HP, everybody at 1 HP. That's going to be a lot more HP as we're going to see Unite come out from the Snorlax just to build a little bit more space, guarantee that secure on the Regieleki, which is just going to be going in as we're going to see Unite Holo continue to chase down. Same positioning here from Mew, just landing those beams from below, but they're not going to be able to fully catch out anybody, and they've got quite a far way to run, so I don't know if they're going to fully commit. Checking to see if they can steal anything from that center area, but it looks like this is going to be mostly a retreat.
Man, the duel between these two tanks has been one of the most interesting things for me to watch. Minato and Yupuno versus against each other. We're going to have Minato going the distance to dunk that 39. Huge yawn. But just moments like that, having the patience to not auto-attack, extend that yawn for the full amount of time. Around that Regieleki fight that happened just a few moments ago on the top side, we're able to see a great combo onto the Mew. They left them sleeping, and that was the perfect moment for Rework Respawn to take down the objective while that happened. So really, really good tank play, playing around your cooldowns, playing around the knowledge of your moves.
Yeah, we did manage to see, well, we'll say this is a really aggressive push. Oh, they didn't have beam or anything, and it looks like just barely able to get back. They knew for sure that Reggie was going to be in that tall grass, but it's just all about the cooldown. So great choice to actually back right there when it normally would have been a little bit more of a scary option. And this is going to be a 4 versus 4 collapse here on this basement Reggie. The Reggie steals. The Unite's going to come in from Reggie, being able to immediately KO that Espeon off the bat, doing so much damage to everybody. When you're a group, that Unite does infinite damage, and now we're going to see the Unite come out from Mew to try and get back in, but the yawn!
Oh, it's perfectly timed again. They were trying to get that secure in that moment. Minato is just on Mew duty to make sure they don't have a chance to try to steal it away, but it's Mame who you should have been worried about. X attack into the fray, and they're going to take the Registeel as well. A drop kick into the enemy backline. A supportive Unite move from Steven is going to bring some healing, but now they don't have it for the remainder of this push.
Yeah, or maybe even a little bit later. We're seeing everything in pop right now. This is 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Somebody tell the players there is another objective that is not a tier 1 goal zone that they're going to have to deal with, but that is going to be the Crustle going down. The only true casualty of this fight. This is a lot of resources to not have. That beam is going to land, but they're going to think maybe that it didn't quite, so they're just going to be able to back. That's a lot of Unites used at 2 minutes 30, 2 minutes 40. I don't know what we're going to have up left. I mean, just look what we have on board. We've got 2 Unites in the entire game.
Yeah, and we do have Sylveon and Scyther working towards the top hat. 2 Pokemon that are excellent at ripping down wild Pokemon's HP bars, so they should be able to get it within the 5 seconds we have remaining in our match and threaten the Regieleki towards Unite Holic's side. In the nick of time, they do. But look at this, Unite Holic playing for really good positioning, while Yupono actually covering a ton of the Rayquaza pit, having great awareness of that.
And this is where Rework Respawn really put in the work in the last game. They're actually going to defend against that Regieleki from Unite Holic. Literally the best time Regieleki possible, 201, which is amazing.
Yeah, we actually have Reggie working towards it through a very, very interesting flank angle. Going to go through the enemy's central area. As obviously, they don't think that Unite Holic has enough damage on Rayquaza to really make that a threat. So you can allow the Scyther to backcap, and we even have Sherlock playing a defensive Blastoise on that top side.
Yeah, now we're a little bit split up. Rework Respawn does not want to stay in that little choke point down there. We've got a very, very low Snorlax. Just Minato trying to get out of there, trying to find a little bit more healing, but they know that somebody's in there, and those beams are just landing over and over. Both our top path brawlers as well, kind of sitting up top. We're going to see Sherlock defend against potential backcap. They know that they've got the lead after what they just did, managing to get that Regieleki in, and with less than 1 minute, somebody's got to make a move, and that somebody's got to be Unite Holic.
Yeah, Rework Respawn has earned this lead, so they're able to just play very comfortably in this moment. Minato with a huge heavy slam combination into the yawn and the Unite move. Reggie is going to capitalize perfectly Exactly. That is the combo play that Rework Respawn has got in the draft screen and is executed here in the match. Rayquaza out down extremely low. Mame is able to get out of that engagement, but them and Crustle are the only two Pokemon still up in this fight. Reggie goes down. Unite Holic still have a chance.
Oh, this is actually really scary. They've got to deal with Mame. They've got to deal with this before they commit to anything. Rayquaza is getting really low, but everybody's getting really low. Mame's trying to do the damage. Nobody's dealing with them, but it's going to be Minato getting the final hit on the Rayquaza. 7 seconds left, and Rework Respawn is going to confirm their second game win and their set win against Unite Holic.
Snorlax by absolute GOAT. Oh my word. The last hit secure from the defender on the Rayquaza. The clock probably wasn't even favoring Unite Holic if the Rayquaza does go down in a scenario, but Rework Respawn really making sure of their victory as they take down Unite Holic 2-0.
That is a huge, huge statement. Japan considered such an incredibly strong region, but this was a great set of games from Rework Respawn. I mean, we know how strong they are. I feel like we are justified right now. I seriously cannot explain, if y'all haven't been watching for a really long time, how much you and I have been talking up Rework Respawn.
I know.
And finally they get to be here in person with their full team, and they are just absolutely making a statement.
They crushed it in April and confirmed their spot in the group stage, avoiding the Swiss Open play, and they made their way here on the stage. In March, they did get second place to a team in the Open, by the way, and NG7 John still is competing. But now their path has gotten even better looking to make it into tomorrow's top 8 bracket. They are one away from that winner's side opportunity. They're waiting to see who's going to win from the Swiss side of their bracket. But here it is, taking a look at the stats. We have Rev with 5 KOs, Reggie with that 7 knockouts on the Scyther.
I know that I always hype up Reggie, but boy, that was the most interesting Scyther play I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was a great style, not overcommitting, and clearly you can see it put in a lot of work. Although, you gotta say, the damage overall on the side of Rework Respawn, it was very focused, right? You can see it's considerably lower than Unite Holic, but they managed to collapse at the perfect moments to get their KOs, while a lot of it from Unite Holic was poke that ended up getting healed by, you can see the 75k from Steven.
Yeah, this is what we like to call a dive composition in Pokemon Unite. It kind of encapsulates the theme because you're working around that Scyther, and even that Rapid Spin Blastoise is a great engagement option, but you're playing off of 2 big things. Heavy Slam from the Snorlax and Hydro Typhoon from the Blastoise. Either of those options are incredible to enable the Scyther, and that's why you're seeing Reggie, 1, play so patiently in these games, just chilling, waiting for the perfect moment, and they're still walking away with great stats.
Yes, extremely strong. What a great set. I'm glad that we get to see one more little look at that. This is one of them that I was looking forward to the most. I mean, obviously every single match that we're going to have from at least pre-qualified teams is going to be amazing, which we've only got one more, I believe. But this one, I mean, like I said, we've been talking about this team, and Unite Holic has been such a great team. I'm so happy that we finally got a chance to cast them as well. But this was just so solid as far as just like again, I want to talk about it before, but the map awareness from Rework Respawn, they are so good at knowing exactly where people are going to be coming from and where they should be to deal with that, or where people are going to be trying to aggress them, where they need to back up and not overextending to the point where they can still get out with barely any HP.
Oh, it was looking fantastic. And I got to admit, I didn't know I'd ever get the opportunity to cast Mame playing Serena again.
True.
But I am happy I got the option, because today it was fantastic. 2 games in a row. Yes, it comes up a little short both of those times, but boy, oh boy, is it fun. And I think for awareness for teams going forward, this is the look that Unite Holic has presented 2 games in a row. If you are preparing for this team, whatever Swiss teams make it into this group, they will have to compete with Unite Holic going forward. You gotta be aware of this composition and how to counter it.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's really interesting that both these teams, I mean, it does make perfect sense, right? They kind of went for a relatively close run back to their previous comps. The biggest deals were the bans, which made a lot of sense. They gained a lot of respect. They were like, okay, well, we can't let that Buzzwole get through again, which was making it a much, much closer game for sure. But overall, it's just these teams were running their comps. And again, I feel like it gets down to the regional versus regional, where they're like, well, we don't actually need to step on each other's toes here, because this is what we've been playing. It's what you've been playing. Let's see how it goes. And let me tell you, it went pretty well for Rework Respawn.
That's my favorite part about this tournament is the fact that we are seeing regional metas clashing against one another. And not just the World Championships, which normally and in the past that has been our only opportunity to do so, but now here at AEOS Cup, we have a second international main stage tournament, and it's already been delivering. We've seen Japan succeed, we have seen now Latin America North succeed, and I guess we have one more group stage coming up very soon. We're going to see Latin America South competing and Brazil competing. The only two regions we have not seen on our broadcast so far.
I'm so glad that we got to have so many different regions and just seeing, I mean, that's the big story for me today is just seeing every single region versus every other single region.
Yeah.
And kind of going to see like which of these teams are like, well, wait a minute, hold on. And like what LATAM North was doing was really good.
Yeah.
Maybe we should look at that. Or what, you know, what Japan was doing is really good. We should look at that more. And getting the chance for these teams to mingle together, which we've already seen so much of. And sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's for the worse, but it's a lot of learning.
Yeah, but all right, on stage, we have an interview with Rework Respawn's Sherlock. I believe it's going to be Doobsnax. So Doobsnax, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Rework Respawn 2-0 against Unite Holics. I'm here with Sherlock. Sherlock, I have to ask, you started the day 2-0. You started your tournament strong. How are you feeling about that?
Empezaste el torneo super con toda fuerza, con 2-0. ¿Cómo te sientes?
Me siento muy emocionado de por fin poder estar aquí y realmente quiero demostrar de lo que es capaz mi equipo.
I'm very happy to be here and I want to show what my team is capable of.
Well, we saw plenty of what you're capable of. Again, 2-0 against a phenomenal squad. How did you get your team ready, Sherlock, for this event specifically with all these different regions represented?
Vimos que la fuerza que tienen ustedes, ganando 2-0 así de un equipo tan fuerte, ¿cómo se prepararon ustedes para venir a un evento tan importante?
Pues como todos los deportes, entrenando diario, esforzándose mucho y todos enfocados en la misma meta.
Well, like every sport, we have been very focused and we are very, very focused on our goal.
Last question for you, Sherlock, before I cut you loose. You are very focused. The team seems ready. What team from this field, open bracket or in the group stages, would you like to play against in the grand finals?
Bueno, ustedes parecen realmente muy enfocados y entonces, ¿cuál equipo, sea del open bracket o de los cualificados, que ustedes quieren enfrentar?
Realmente me gustaría enfrentarme contra Luminosity porque son los bicampeones del mundo.
Well, we would like to play against Luminosity because they are champions of the world.
Well, that is a great team for sure, but they have to fight through the open brackets. We'll see if they even make it to the group stage. You all are off to a great start. Let's send it back to the desk because we've got more group play straight ahead.
Awesome, thank you. Great to hear from Sherlock, and of course, Doobsnax.